Hi, it's Danny from Danny's Sports Bar here in Pattaya, looking ahead at the week in the world of sports. And it's a huge week for us here at Danny's. Got a lot of stuff going on. We have a big party on Thursday night from our wedding anniversary. Friday, we have the start of the Winter Olympics. Saturday, we have the start of the T20 World Cup. Thursday night, we have the start of the Six Nations. We've got Premier League all weekend, and of course, the big game Monday morning at 6:30, the Super Bowl. New England Patriots, Seattle Seahawks, the biggest game of the year in American sports, and you could argue one of the biggest single games of the year in world sports, because the Premier League is our biggest event of the year overall. The World Cup is the biggest event every 4 years, but the Premier League doesn't have one single game like the Super Bowl because it's a whole league season. You can't say which game is going to decide the league. The World Cup is huge, but it only happens every 4 years. The Super Bowl, one game to decide the NFL championship every single year. And this year, New England and Seattle, pretty good stories from both of them. New England had a horrible year last season. Of course, they were very good in the early 2000s. Seattle has won the Super Bowl before, but not recently. They got Sam Darnold, who really resurrected his career last year in Minnesota. Now he's the quarterback in Seattle. They had a great year. They had the best record in the NFC. They're considered the favorite in this game at 6:30 Monday morning. We are taking reservations all this week. It's $300 per person for a reservation, which includes free food. You don't have to have a reservation. However, right now I would say there's a good chance that all the seats will be reserved by the day of the game, but before the day of the game. Anyway, that's the Super Bowl. The party on Thursday starts at 6 o'clock. That's a big deal for us. I'm sure you'll have a great time if you come by. We'd love to see all of you here. We'll go on to the other events I talked about really quickly. The Winter Olympics. There's actually action starting late Wednesday night. Ice hockey and curling, women's ice hockey and curling. The opening ceremony is late night Friday, and then starting Saturday, lots of events. Starting about 4 o'clock in the afternoon every day. It's in Italy, so that's the time zone for that. The biggest events depend on what country you're from. The Dutch obviously love speed skating. A lot of the Europeans and Americans too like the downhill skiing. The ice hockey is going to be big. Any country where hockey is a big game. The men's ice hockey, it's the first time in 12 years the NHL players have all been released for the hockey. The men's competition starts in another week, the second week of the games, but we'll keep an eye on that. We'll probably talk more about that next week. The T20 World Cup, just the group stage starting Saturday. Some of the games in the group stage not terribly interesting. Once they get to the Super 8s and then the semifinals and final, people are going to get real excited about this tournament. There are some games in the group stage that are figured to be interesting, India, Pakistan among them, but plenty going on with that. As far as the Premier League goes, there's a very interesting game on Sunday night. Now, Saturday, we will again be closed 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, because Sunday is the general election here in Thailand. The law mandates that we close. Sorry about that for those of you who wanted to watch the Premier League on Saturday night or the Six Nations on Saturday night. We just won't be able to open for it. However, we will be open Sunday at 6, and Sunday night at 11:30, it's Liverpool against Manchester City. Now, this past week, Manchester City gave up a 2-goal lead at Spurs, ended up drawing 2-2 while Arsenal beat Leeds pretty handily. Arsenal extended their lead at the top of the Premier League. Arsenal have another game that you would figure they're going to win this week at home to Sunderland, which puts more pressure on Manchester City and Aston Villa. But let's talk about City right now to get a win. That is a challenge. They have only won one time at Anfield in the last 20 years. They haven't won at all there in the league since 2021. So this is a big deal. People might figure they're going to win, but it's not a guarantee by any means. As I said, they haven't had a lot of success there. Now, one other thing about Manchester City, and this came to play this past week against Spurs, if games ended at halftime, someone did a chart today, if Premier League games ended at halftime, Manchester City would have a 12-point lead on top of the Premier League. They've been so poor in the second half of games that they're actually 6 points behind. So if Manchester City do go ahead of Liverpool, don't leave, don't turn the game off. If you haven't gotten here yet, get here for the second half, because Liverpool may very well come back and draw or win that game in the second half. Anyway, that's what's going on. The Six Nations normally would start on a Friday night. This week starts on a Thursday because they didn't want to go against the opening ceremony of the Olympics on Friday. It's a big game. It's late, 3:10 a.m., France versus Italy. We won't have the games on Saturday, but the following week and all the rest of the tournament, we will be showing all the Six Nations games, in addition to, of course, all the Premier League, the big Bundesliga games, the big games from Italy, Holland, Scotland, everywhere else, and, of course, the Super Bowl. Come see us here at Danny's.